Welcome back to the project, renovating this 1857 Philadelphia row home. A couple weeks ago, I got a quote of $25,000 to prime and paint the whole house. And I didn't want to pay that, so now I'm dealing with the consequences of my decisions, and I've been painting for the past 2 weeks. And you guessed it, this week we're painting. There's 2 bathrooms in the house, one on the 2nd floor here, and another right above it on the 3rd floor. And for bathrooms, you don't want to use the same paint as everywhere else. Instead, I'm using a satin paint in the Swiss coffee color that I'm doing around the house. And I'm just gonna paint satin on the ceilings and the walls, which makes it a little easier for me, cutting in the corners. In the rest of the house, I'm using eggshell on the walls, flat on the ceiling, but in the bathroom, a high humidity area, a higher sheen makes a paint much more moisture resistant. That's the rationale. Now we just gotta get it on the walls. For areas where it's just like dust on the wall, I can use the sander. For areas of little buildups of paint or drops, I use this paint scraper, and sometimes it chips off the primer and makes a little hole. I could just reprime it, but I think the best way is to add some joint compound in these tiny little holes, just so I never see them again. And the nice thing is we can do the ceiling while we wait for this to dry. Then we need to do a little sand and maybe a little primer. Then we're ready to do the walls. It's crazy, it's already like noon. I still haven't even broken out the paints, but I think good prep is how you get a good paint job. So that's fine. I'm just waiting for spackle to dry and stuff. Another prep item, there's a water stain up here, which happened a lot because the floorboards up there there's gaps in them and leaks just come right down. But the primer does not cover them. So I got some Kills spray, and this is just what you need for water stains. All right, we're ready to paint, and I think it'll go really quick because it's the same color, walls and ceilings. It's a real pain changing out the rollers and getting a new brush for wall and ceiling. Got my shower pan covered in some trash bags. It's always good to get this can out of the way so we don't kick it over. Right away, there's something on the roller that got on the ceiling. I got it. A little piece of something. First pass with the roller complete. Now we gotta cut in all the edges and then do our second coat. A couple things to mention. One is, a lot of these areas might be covered. Like in the renderings for this bathroom, I have tile on this whole back wall. But even so, I just think that adding a layer of paint and the moisture protection of a satin paint is maybe just good practice. Also, like behind the vanity and around the, plumbing fixtures, I think that having paint, just a layer of protection, even if it's not gonna be visible. The other thing I think about a whole lot when I am, doing a job that I could hire out to professionals, I don't know, the funny thing is there's just such a delta in how much I care about this house and how little a professional cares. It's just a job. And even if they're twice as good at painting as me, but I care 3 times as much, I think I can get a comparable end result, but it means putting in a whole lot more time than the professionals would. That's okay, I want to move in eventually, but I can wait a little bit, save some money along the way. And it's done. 2 coats everywhere. 2 coats cutting in, 2 coats rolling. And I think we have about half a gallon left. So I got a fighting chance of finishing the bathroom downstairs with the same gallon of paint. How about that? It took like 2.5 hours for a couple coats. You know, not too bad. All right, another bathroom. Man, but hey, if someone came to you and said, hey, would you paint this house for $25,000? Well, minus $1,000 for paint. You know, you want to make 24 grand in a month? Like, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? And that's what I remember this whole time. Well, I'm just feeling the pain in my shoulders from a million reps of just up and down and up and down. That's what I remember to stay sane. And here we are in a painted house. My light fell. That's okay. The bathroom's painted. 2 coats, both bathrooms done. Pretty good progress for a day to do 2 bathrooms. Other than touch-ups, I won't have to touch the paint again, hopefully. Now I gotta go home and prepare for another day of painting. See you then. Exciting news today. We're painting. This is the original mirror. Clearly needs a lot of work in here, but I love having a window in the bathroom from the house when I bought it. And I saved it all these months. Have you ever had the experience of moving to a new apartment or buying a house or whatever, and then the first time you go to shower, you realize that your water pressure's trash and it's just dribbling down on you? It's a very overlooked part of a house, but it's also super important for the quality of life that you have good water pressure. That's why I'm excited to be working with today's sponsor, AQUASTRONG, and they sent out their AquaSmart 45. This box is heavy, and it was a bit of a pain to get it to the job site. I really should have just Ubered to my house, bringing it from my apartment, but here we are, saving $18 by walking with this like 30-40 pound package a mile to the subway, and then another walk from the subway. But you know, get my lift in for the day. But now I have it here, and the plumber should be here this morning to get it installed. I'm really excited to have this pump installed because it just gives me peace of mind that even fixtures up on the 3rd floor are gonna have great water pressure, just consistency and comfort throughout this house. It's a little detail that'll make a big difference. The pump has quiet operation at about 55 decibels, and being in the basement, I'll never notice it's running. It's energy efficient, and it'll only kick on when it detects lower pressure, and it'll just keep things even throughout the house. Plumber Brad got this all hooked up. Walk us through it.
Basically what we have here is we have a tee off here. This is going to pick up the new booster pump. This is going to be the feed into the booster. We have the house valve here, this is our bypass. Basically, these are just to shut off the pump if we ever need to replace it, keep the house live, so he doesn't have to worry about having water.
Thanks, Brad.
No problem.
Pretty simple. Unfortunately, the only working plumbing fixture I have to test this is my hose. And I paid about $6,000 to have my main water line replaced. And before I replaced it, the water pressure was pretty terrible because it was a pipe potentially original to the house, and old pipes often get filled with mineral deposits, which makes the clear area of the pipe so small that it reduces your pressure. Luckily, my pressure is okay because I spent so much money to replace that water line, but even so, there's always room for improvement. Thanks again to AQUASTRONG. Check out the link in the description to get your own. It's a great, easy upgrade to change the way you experience water in your house. Good morning. It's currently Wednesday. I got a little secret that I haven't told anybody, but you, right now. See my precious little bump out? Well, there's no roof on it. I think it's a mild form of self-sabotage, and I've just been kind of patiently waiting to start seeing water damage on my drywall. And surprisingly, that hasn't happened yet, but I don't want to push my luck. Let me show you what the roof looks like. So honestly, it's not too bad. Like, water comes down, gets trapped by this roof paper, comes to the side and just sheds off. But this roof paper can't be exposed for too long. And the main issue is there's no flashing at the back. So wind-blown moisture can hit this wall, slide back behind here. So the plan, I need to put on some type of roof and then do a little flashing and mortar it into the brick wall here. So for this roof up here, Google begged me not to use aluminum trim coil, but with my limited roofing experience, I decided to use aluminum trim coil. This is for a few reasons. One, it's a super small space. It's exactly 2 feet wide, and this is exactly 2 feet wide. It's meant to be. Second, I don't want to have to buy something special just for this little tiny roof. I want to use what I have. And third, I bought a metal brake to do the flashing, and I need to get more use out of it rather than just one little flashing job, so I'm also going to do the roof with it. Now, to use this aluminum trim coil is going to require some careful detailing, so step into my office and I'll show you what that looks like. Had a little bit of fun with this drawing here. So we got the top view with some measurements, a little section just for fun showing like the flashing, the roof, insulation, whatever. Front elevation. So the main consideration with using this trim coil as a roof is accommodating expansion, contraction. This is going to want to, expand and contract and move. And that's where doing these little ridges comes in. So I'm going to fasten the roof basically in each of these flat sections. The top fastener will be lapped by the top flashing to prevent moisture there. The bottom fasteners are exposed, but I have special metal screws that have a little plastic washer that should work. So I'm going to have to accommodate a little bit of expansion and contraction between those two fasteners. So I'll have to kind of widen the hole where those fasteners go. If you don't do all this to accommodate expansion, contraction, basically the roof will just like buckle over time and it won't look good. In the width direction, that's what these ridges are for that have like a 1/2 inch gap. So each of these flat sections can expand, contract, and it'll just be absorbed by that ridge. And the end details, I'm gonna fold it down. I don't really know if that's how it should be, but it makes sense to me, so we're gonna try it out. And then the most important part of this drawing is this little diagram here, which basically shows me how long this thing needs to be and where my fold marks are going to be. So I'm basically going to transfer all these measurements onto the piece of metal and then bend it from there. And you can see, even though the roof is 50 inches, the piece of metal I have is 55 inches to accommodate all these different things. So let's get to work. about this flapping in the wind? The fit is spot on. My diagram did me well. Yeah, I think it'll work. I think it will work. Another consideration, this is on the north side, so it's not getting direct sun for too long. The thermal expansion is worse with direct sun. And also, I use this white because it's what I had, but also it'll reflect some of the heat. It's quite hard to film this because the sun's right in my eyes, but the work is in the shadow, so probably pretty blown out right now, but that's fine. I guess I'll cut this paper. I should probably cut it before I screw this down. I just don't want this paper like hanging out over the edge, but it's still lapped over the drip edge. Just a thought as I'm doing this. One thing I am definitely worried about is just the wind getting under this thin sheet metal and trying to pull it up. And I want to minimize fasteners to minimize leaks and minimize pinning and warping, you know, with expansion. But I want enough fasteners that it's not going to, you know, get wind under it and deform it. So tough balance, but you know, I'm really just experimenting here. And if I have to redo this in a year, so be it. Just gonna do one first, make sure it looks good. And with these little washers, I believe it's important to drive it nice and perpendicular so the washer has a good seal. We're gonna have to get 2 more on these sides because that'll definitely whip up in the wind. It's really nice out in the sun, at least. Now I'm also wondering, like this middle part is definitely gonna get blown up in the wind. And there's a chance that wind-driven rain can get back under the roof paper. I'll keep the fasteners as they are and I'm just gonna watch it, but this thing's gonna be flapping in the wind for sure. All right, so up here we need flashing because water can get behind this roof. And the original plan was to just have one piece of flashing. It's kind of weird. This is higher here than over there, but whatever. Like I could just do a flat piece that comes out, but then water can get up and under that flashing. You could put sealant back there just in case. You could bring it out and then angle it down and then cut around these ridges, but then still you'd have issues where water might get behind these ridges, but if it does, it'll just drain out. Or I could do 2 pieces of flashing, like a piece of flashing here that comes down and flat, and then another piece on the other side of this ridge, and then 1 piece of flashing over top of that. Now the problem still is like wind blowing this flashing. Like I was planning to have no mechanical connection here, it's just embedded into the mortar joint there, and I was hoping that I could use the flashing to cover these top screws, but now I'm thinking maybe I have to take these screws out, do the flashing, and then screw the flashing down too. Like I think the flashing's gonna need something, you know, otherwise it's just gonna be this piece of metal flapping in the wind. I had some flashing tape, so I just put this in here as kind of like a little extra line of defense, and I have no idea if like this tape is just gonna deteriorate in this mortar joint. Very well might, but I just wanted something sticking down here so that any water that might get driven up under this flashing isn't going to get back there. So it's just stuff I had around. I figured it couldn't hurt, you know? So I guess next step is make a piece of metal. All right, well, that took better part of a day. I could get into painting, but I don't want to. It's nice to take a break from that. All right, I want to show you the progress on this roof and flashing. I'll admit it's definitely a hack job. I don't know what I'm doing. Fun experiment, and I'm only using what I have here. As many of you know, I don't have a car, so like quick trips to Home Depot are really hard. So one thing I learned is that you can't actually use the aluminum trim coil embedded in the brick. You need like a stainless steel or copper for that, which I don't have. So I audibled. Let me show you what I did. Not exactly proud of it. All right, so this is the joint that I dug all the mortar out of. I was gonna mortar it, but I realized if I mortar it with this aluminum, it'll just corrode and be bad. So I audibled, and at one point I was shoving little wire nut heads because I needed like composite shims to basically push this flashing down. Basically, I overbent this flashing and then I shimmed it so the metal is like forcing itself down. And the little wire caps were perfect to just shove in here. Then there's the void, so I spray foamed, and then I'm gonna go back over top and add roof tar, kind of like this stuff, just over this front. And we're gonna see how that goes, you know? But for now, I'm gonna let this spray foam cure overnight, then I'll come back and add that roofing cement stuff. All right, we got it finished up. This black stuff is like rubberized flashing cement. It's awful to work with. It'll never come off your hands, but it'll keep water out. So that was the alternative to the mortar. So maybe it'll make this flashing last longer. All in all, it's like, man, if I was water, I'd get the gist. I'm not welcome here. I don't think that I would be getting in. It's just a matter of how this holds up, but better than no roof. Good morning. It's nice having a little fresh breeze coming in here. The skylights are giving me a little trouble. They like get stuck and you need to push on them, which is disturbing for new skylights. I don't know what that's about. Maybe the frames are slightly skewed or who knows, but not the end of the world. I can use that rod to like push it up, so whatever. But my job today is basically to finish up the work up on this scaffolding because we're gonna have to take it down to do the floors eventually. So first, when I was making all that dust doing this brick wall, I had the skylights open and a lot of dust got up there. That could also be part of my problem with the stickiness. So I'm just gonna clean these off with some paper towels here, and then I need to paint the inside of the skylight wells flat white. And as I'm up here on the scaffolding, I'm gonna really miss having the scaffolding. And I've been scratching my head trying to creatively develop a solution for long-term access up here. Because if I ever leave the skylights open, I'll have water, I might need to touch up paint. If I need to get out onto the roof, I need to get up here. If I need to clean the windows, the skylights, I need to get up here. And it's just really awkward to set up a ladder. There's not a good place to do it. So I need to build something. I'm thinking of like, even like a kind of fire escape style like walkway up here where I could put plants and stuff, but then it could also double as a scaffolding kind of like this. But you know, we will cross that bridge when we get to it. If you're wondering how many paper towels it takes to clean some skylights, they're all right here in my pocket. This many. And there's a lot of little cracks and crevices up there. A lot of places to clean. Yeah, I learned my lesson making a bunch of dust in here. I'll be dealing with the consequences of that for a long time. But I'm really hoping that that clean down, very thorough on all the seals, will help these skylights not get stuck, because that's an issue that just started happening post-dust. So, we'll see. Now we gotta move on to paint. I've got bad news. Cleaning out the dust did not help. With my skylights sticking, And at first I didn't think this was too big of a deal because I can just push up on it with the rod and then open it. But then I realized that the screens will prevent me from doing that, and I want screens to stop insects, obviously. And also the need for access up here is more apparent than ever because this getting stuck issue, oftentimes even, you know, even if everything's right, after a long winter, they can get stuck and you need to get up here and do WD-40 or whatever you need to do to open them. And if I don't have easy access, I can't do that easily. And it's really important to me that these skylights function. I paid extra money to make them function. Yeah, I think I might be able to fix this with the screws. Basically, I can see, I think that the frame needs to shift over to my right. So theoretically, I don't know what I'm talking about here, and I wasted way too much time trying to fix this and just realizing that I didn't really know what I was doing. I had to like wiggle my way out of the skylight and try to look at it from the top of the roof, and it didn't go well. Eventually I gave up and I called the Skylight people, and I think they're gonna be here in like a week or something to help me fix this. Finally time to paint. I'm talking on the phone with the Skylight people, and they're gonna take a look at it, and dropping paint from this height would be, dare I say, catastrophic. So we're gonna be very careful, very careful, very careful. Yeah, gotta move slow and intentionally at heights. I feel like I've been doing a lot of putzing around, a lot of different things, but I'm ready to make a difference here and maybe get all this painted. The main deadline I have is to finish the painting so that the electrical can get installed, and also HVAC is getting installed next week, and they're putting all the, you know, the grates, the return registers, whatever. So let's get this place painted. Man, this ceiling work is brutal. I did 3 of these bays, which is 6 edges to cut in. And I'm being really careful, obviously, because of my nice beams. And I'm doing a great job. I will give myself that. But it just takes so much time. I think it was like 3 or 4 hours to do these 3 bays. And I have 4 remaining. But this is just primer, and then I need to paint it. Hopefully one layer of paint. Anyway, that's it for the week. It's Friday, it's 6 p.m. We're almost done painting, and I can almost say that I've painted a whole house by myself, and I cannot wait to be done painting. We have a lot of things to do. I'm looking at some doors behind the camera that need to be cleaned up, sanded, stained, figured out. I got a lot of trim work to do before we can do tile. I got a kitchen to install. I got to get all the subs back to finish up electrical and finish up HVAC. It's all happening, and this painting month is soon to be behind me. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you next week. Fun fact about me, I've been eating nuts for lunch for the past 15 months. And if you're not on nuts, I want to put you on nuts because they're incredible. This little jar of sweet and salty chili crunch was like $9. And if you look at the calories, 23 servings times 170 calories per serving, that's like 4,000 calories. So let's say your normal lunch is 700 calories or so. That's 5.5 lunches. Then $9 divided by 5.5 lunches, that's $1.60 per lunch. Tell me where you can get better value and better taste than a simple jar of nuts on a construction site. Yep. Oh boy, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Jars of nuts, highly recommend.